Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rania Aulia and I studied English literature. So now I want to presentate about observing intercultural communication and a strategy for achieving business success. So let's moving on. The first topic, I'm gonna explain about the definition, the importance, challenges, example, and the last is reference. So what is intercultural communication? So it is refers to the study of interactions between individuals from different cultural backgrounds where their distinct perceptions and symbolic systems can influence communication. And then the importance is there are three importance. There are building global understanding and cooperation, enhancing inclusive digital and social networks, and the last is supporting adaptation in multicultural environments. The first is building global understanding and cooperation. It helps individuals understand diverse values, beliefs, and perspectives in a globalized world, and then encourage mutual respect and reduce cultural misunderstandings in education, business, and communities. And then the last is supports international cooperation in solving global challenges such as climate issues and migration. And we're moving on to the enhancing inclusive digital and social networks. First one is essential for effective teamwork in international organization, and then prevents miscommunication in digital communication across languages and cultural norms. And then the last is builds inclusive global networks and strengthens international partnerships. And the last is supporting adaptation in multicultural environments. First is prepares individuals to work effectively in foreign or multicultural settings. The second is improves cross-cultural competence in migration, education, and tourism. The last is encourages empathy, tolerance, and openness when engaging with different cultures. Now we're moving on to the challenges. There are 4 challenges. The first one is language barriers. The second is difference in communications. The third is digital and technology. And the last is cultural misunderstanding. So the first challenges is language barriers. The different meanings, words and idioms may not translate the same across cultures. The loss of nuance, automatic translations often miss cultural expressions or tone. For the result is misunderstanding or confusion even when people speak a shared language. And then the second is difference in communication norms and ethic. Varied communication styles. Some cultures value directness, others prefer indirectness. The different rules, who speaks first, how to greet, and formality levels differ across cultures. And for the result, miscommunication or unintended offense in cross-cultural interactions. The third is digital and technological inequality. Unequal access, not everyone has the same internet or device availability. The information gaps, some groups cannot access or share the same online content. For the result, limited participation in intercultural or global communication. And the last is cultural misunderstanding and stereotyping. The different perceptions, people interpret behavior based on their own culture. The stereotyping, judging others through bias or cultural assumptions. So the result is prejudice, ethnocentrism, and breakdown of mutual understanding. Now, here's are the examples. McDonald's in India, unusual strategies and cultural adaptation behind the success. There are solutions to overcome the intercultural communication challenges. There are developing local menus, franchise model and local partnerships, pricing and marketing strategy. And here's the reference that I use. And now we're moving on to the second topic. Second topic, we will talking about the effectiveness, the roles, example, and the last is reference. So, effective communication contribution to business success. The first is improves overall organizational performance and productivity by ensuring accurate information transfer for decision making. Boost employee engagement, motivation, and cooperation, which raise task accuracy and speed. The third is reduce conflict, misunderstanding, and costly mistakes, protecting service quality and operational efficiency. The fourth is align stakeholders on goals and strategies through timely and clear messages, supporting effective strategy implementation. And the last is the choice of communication channels and management style affects how effective communication is and thus influence business outcomes. Next, we're moving on to the roles. There are 3 roles. The first is cultural awareness, the second is teamwork, and the last is leadership communication. For the first one is cultural awareness, understanding and respecting people's values, traditions, and communication styles. And it helps avoid misunderstandings and builds trust in global business. It also can adapt their products, marketing, and management more effectively. The second is teamwork. It helps collaborating effectively across cultures. It also builds good communication, respect, and adaptability between team members. And it also can share ideas better, solve problems faster, and increase productivity. And the last is leadership communication. Adjust team communication style to fit cultural expectation. Also use empathy, active listening, and clear messages to inspire international teams. The last is builds unity and improves company performance. And here's are the examples. PT Datang di SSP Power Indonesia, DDPI, earns prestigious HR Asia Best Companies to Work for in Asia 2025 and Tech Empowerment Award 2025. Here's are the real local company case that succeed because of communication factors. The first is cultural events. Joint celebration of Eid al-Fitr, the Dragon Boat Festival, China's movie screenings, cartoon-based work safety competitions. And the second, outcomes and recognition. Winning the HR Asia base and also winning the Tech Empowerment Award. Here's other reference that I use. Thank you so much. So we're moving on to the part 2. We're gonna talking about the case study. So there are 3 case study 1, case study 2, and case study 3. For the first case study 1, cultural barriers. The scenario, a team of employees from Indonesia, Germany, and Japan are working together on a joint technology project. During meetings, the German manager often gives direct feedback. The Japanese members remain silent when they disagree, and the Indonesian team tries to avoid confrontation to maintain harmony. After several weeks, communication starts to break down, deadlines are missed, and misunderstandings occur. So here's what I got. Here's the data. The first one, the blue one is Germany, the orange one is Japan, and the green one is Indonesia. I will explain. So the hierarchy and authority, PDI. Indonesia's high PDI, 78, means that team members may expect clear leadership and follow decisions without much challenges. For Germany's is low PDI, 35, suggests more equality and openness to challenge or debate. And the last for Japan lies between 54, so respect for seniority is moderate. And the second is about individualism versus collectivism, IDV. So for German, higher IDV 67 indicates a culture of speaking up, personal responsibility, and direct feedback. And for Indonesia, it's very low. It's like 14. Shows strong group orientation, deference, and preference for harmony over confrontation. And for Japan, is 46, sits in between but leans toward group orientation. And for the masculinity, MAS, Japan's is very high, is 95, shows a culture strongly focused on achievement, competition, and defined gender roles or status. And for German is 66, also scores relatively high. For Indonesia is 46, is lower, indicating less emphasis on overt competition or aggressive goal orientation. And for the uncertainty avoidance, UAI, Japan is very high, 92, meaning strong preference for structure, rules, clarity, and certainty. And for German, is 65, is moderate to high. And for Indonesia, is 48, is more moderate, indicating more tolerance for ambiguity. And for the long-term orientation, Indonesia's is very high, 100%, focused strongly on future planning, and Japan's high is 80%, suggests strong future-oriented thinking, persistence, and adaptability. And for German, it's lower, is 31, suggests more short or medium-term orientation. Reliable data for Indonesia is less clear. And next is indulgence versus restraint. All three are relative restrained in indulgence, with Indonesia 38, slightly more open to enjoyment than Germany 40, and Japan is 42. So how cultural misunderstanding affects the moods and decision making? The first is creating prejudice and stereotypes among groups. The second is there is no mutual understanding between the groups. And the third is creating miscommunication and finishing the task. So here's are the three practical strategies to overcome these barriers and improve intercultural collaboration, such as arranging clear meeting rules, adjusting feedback techniques across cultures, and also encourage every member of the meeting to share their ideas and opinions beyond their cultures regarding to the project. And now we're moving on to the case study 2. It's about cross-cultural communication for business. And here's our the scenario. An Indonesian furniture company, Tropical Craft, is expanding to the European market. The company's marketing team creates advertisement emphasizing family values and community spirit. However, the campaign receives little attention from European audience, who view the ads as overly emotional and lacking professionalism. Here are the cross-cultural communication failures in advertising. The first is incompatibility between the cultural values of the manufacturer's country and the potential customer countries. The second is miscommunication due to the different communication techniques across cultures. And the third is reducing opportunities to reach larger global markets. Here's all the real data from Indonesian and Swiss. Okay, so we're moving on to the individualism versus collectivism. The advertisement with collectivist cultural values from Indonesia is incompatible with the European individualist cultural values in general. For the high context versus low context communication, The potential European customers embracing low context cultures cannot understand or be interested in the implicit message of the advertisement and prefer a more direct advertising. A revised marketing strategy. Tropical Crave should design an advertisement for its products, focusing on the individual values and guarantee of the product qualities, with a simple yet attractive design that matches the taste, lifestyle, and cultures in European countries. Now we're moving on to the case study 3, non-verbal communication. Here's our scenario. During a business negotiation between a US company and an Arab client in Dubai, the American representative repeatedly checks his watch and maintains a wide personal distance. The Arab client interprets this behavior as impatient and disrespect, leading to a tense atmosphere and failed negotiation. So here's are the identification of nonverbal communication issues. The first is time orientation and gestures. The American representative's frequent act of checking his watch, while common in US culture to stay punctual and efficient, was perceived by the Arab client as a sign of boredom, impatience, and or disinterest. The second is personal space. Maintaining a wide physical distance is considered respectful in American culture, but in Arab culture, it can be seen as a cold or distant behavior, signaling a lack of trust or engagement. The third is eye contact and body language. Although not explicitly mentioned, it is likely that limited eye contact or reserved gesture from the American side reinforce the Arab client's perception of detachment. Here's are the research finding and cultural nonverbal. The first is time perception. In American culture, time is viewed as linear or monochronic, emphasizing punctuality, scheduling, and efficiency. Americans often associate promptness with professionalism. In Arab cultures, time is more polychronic, meaning relationships and interactions take precedence over strict schedules. People value personal connection more than adherence to time constraints. The second is personal space. Americans typically maintain 8 to 48 inches of personal space during professional interactions. In contrast, Arab often stand closer during conversation, around 12 inches or less, to convey warmth, sincerity, and mutual respect. Stepping back may signal discomfort or lack of trust. The third is gesture and nonverbal cues. Checking a watch, crossing arms, and glancing away during conversation can be misinterpreted as disinterest or dismissiveness in Middle Eastern cultures. Direct, sustained eye contact is valued in Arab culture as a sign of attentiveness and respect, while Americans may moderate eye contact to avoid appearing intrusive. Cross-cultural difference in nonverbal signals and their influence. Nonverbal communication varies greatly across cultures and significantly affects trust building, report, and negotiation outcomes. In high-context cultures such as Arab societies, communication relies heavily on nonverbal cues, tone, and context. Personal relationships are the foundation of successful business dealings. In low-context cultures such as the US, messages are conveyed more through explicit verbal communication, and efficiency often outweighs relational factors. When nonverbal signals are misinterpreted, as in this case, trust deteriorates and perceived disrespect undermines cooperation. Successful cross-cultural communication, therefore, depends not only on spoken words but also on aligning body language, eye contact, gesture, and proxemics with the cultural expectation of the counterpart. So, communication strategies prevent similar issues in the future cross-cultural meetings. The first is cultural awareness training. Representatives should be trained to understand key cultural values and nonverbal norms of their international partners before entering negotiations. Second is adapt communication style. The American representative should adopt a more relational approach by maintaining appropriate eye contact, reducing physical distance, and refraining from checking time device during discussion. The third is build personal rapport first. In Arab business culture, establishing trust and personal relationship is essential before discussing contracts or deadlines. Small talk, hospitality, and showing genuine interest foster positive interaction. And the next is observe and mirror nonverbal cues. Pay attention to the client's posture, distance, and tone, and adjust accordingly to demonstrate respect and empathy. The last is clarify expectation early. Discuss meeting structure, time constraints, and communication preference at the beginning to avoid misinterpretation later. So here's are the reference I use. And maybe that's all. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.